What's up, guys? In today's review for Halloween month 2022, we're reviewing Ghost Rider Epic Collection, Volume 1, Hell on Wheels, which this comic features comic books from 1972 from 1975. This is technically at the end of the Silver Age, because the Silver Age went from like 55 to 75. It's rated T for teen, right? It collects issues. It collects Marvel Spotlight issues 5 through 12, Ghost Rider issues 1 through 11, and Marvel Team Up issue 15. Right, and this collects the first appearance of Ghost Rider and like the first 10 issues of his run. It says 1 through 11, right? But if you look here, right, here's issue 10, right? Look at the page count. And here's issue 11. Look at the page count. 1 page difference. Look at this crap. Look at this. I'll show you in a second. Let me just get to it. Let me find it. Look at this. This is the cover for issue 10, right? Where Ghost Rider is supposed to fight the Hulk, but then here you see the cover for issue 11, right? So it's like, this is issue 10 or issue 11, right? So it's like, I don't know, issue 10 is like 1 page, and it's supposed to feature a story of Ghost Rider fighting Hulk, and then you get to the story, and you have the cover for issue 11, right? So it's like, what the hell happened here? I have no idea, right? So, yeah. So the people who worked on this book are, here it is. Gary Friedrich, Tony Isabella. Gary Friedrich wrote the Marvel Spotlight and like half of the Ghost Rider series, and then like Doug Moench wrote an issue, and then Tony Isabella took over. So you have artists who worked on this book are Mike Ploog, Tom Sutton and Jim Mooney, right? And then like you have like assistants, right? So the Ghost Rider was pretty much his origin story pretty much follows the movie pretty well, right? The movie pretty much follows his origin story pretty well, except for a few minor details, right? Like it wasn't his dad that it wasn't his dad who he sold his soul to the devil for, right? It was his dad died when he was a kid, and then he got adopted by Crash Sampson, who was a daredevil, right? And Johnny fell in love with his daughter Roxanne, even though they're like, step siblings or whatever. Not step siblings, foster siblings? I don't know. But they're like basically siblings-in-law, right? So yeah, what happens is that like Crash Sampson gets told like he's gonna die, and like Johnny swore to his foster mother, right, who saw him as a son, not to, ride motorcycles, right? So he was supposed to take over after Crash Sampson was going to die, but like, he didn't want to do that, right? And like, his girlfriend, his sister / girlfriend calls him a coward, right? So that Johnny, unlike with the movie where Johnny got approached and he was like, oh, let's make a deal, right? Johnny apparently had, this is like, the 70s was fucking weird, right? And people wonder why the satanic panic was a thing. here it's like Johnny, apparently when he was a kid, he was into the occult stuff, and he decides to summon Satan and makes a deal with the devil to, like, you know, hey, save Rock Sampson's soul. Sorry, Crash Sampson's soul, and save him, and I'll give you my soul, right? And so he does. And then Crash Sampson, because he feels, you know, Crash Sampson, like, thinks he's gonna die, so he decides to do one last dangerous stunt to cement his legacy, and he ends up dying. Right? And Johnny feels like he got cheated, which, you know, because, you know, the Crash Sampson, he sold his soul to the devil, so Crash Simpson wouldn't die, but Crash Simpson died anyway because he killed himself in an impossible stunt, right? And, you know, the devil's like, I'm here to collect your soul. And Johnny tells him, no, you fucked me over. And then, like, you know, Roxanne apparently knows shit about the occult, saying, I'm, you know, pure of heart, so you can't take Johnny's soul, right? In the presence of someone who is, you know, pure of heart. So the devil's like, curse Johnny to become the Ghost Rider at night. Which, you know, he has a flaming skull for a head, right? And has fire powers. And unlike with, like, modern comics and in, like, the movies, Johnny does not transform, like, mentally, like, into, like, another personality. He does the spook act, as he calls it. The, like, you know, he talks all archaic, right? To scare people, right? So they leave him alone, right? So, like, all those, like, you know, it's funny because, like, all those comics were, like, I read of Ghost Rider where he's, like, talking, like, weird and stuff. That was Johnny playing an act, right? So most of the comic book, most of this omnibus features stories of the devil, Satan, before they turn him into Mephisto or whatever the devil's now called in Marvel Comics. This is back when the devil was when they called their devil character Satan, right? So, like, yeah, most of the comic book is Satan and his minions coming up with plots to try to, you know, get Johnny Blaze's soul, right? Because, you know, they can't just grab it because he's under the protection of someone with pure of heart, even though they're borderline incest because they grew up, you know, brother and sister, even though they're technically not brother and sister. Still weird, right? And yeah, so, like, you have the book, the graphic novel also features, like, you know, cameos from Damon Hellstrom, with Damon Hellstrom, the son of Satan himself, right? Which we review these comics in the Damon Hellstrom Evil Origins, which we reviewed last year. So I'm not going to talk about that. You know, they also feature Witch Woman, which it's funny how, like, you know, in this comic book, I'm going to see if I can find those. We get Witch Woman is like, you know, a Native American Satanist who's working for Satan, right? And in her origin story, you know, she got into Satanism because, you know, she went to college and her fellow female students got her, you know, female students got her into, like, Satanism and tried to sacrifice her to the devil. And the devil gave her superpowers. So here, yeah, you see, like, you know, the Satanist classmate, right? And, like, yeah, she gets sacrificed to the sacrificed by all these feminist Satanists at this college, right? So it's like, even back in the 70s, people knew that college was basically indoctrination into, like, bad ideologies. Here they're saying, Satanism, but really, it's, you can say this is like an allegory for, like, Marxism and whatnot. So I thought that was funny. Yeah, you also have Spider-Man is also in the book, right? It's near the end, right? Spider-Man's in the book in one issue. Trying to see. Oh, I think I skipped it. Here's Ghost Rider and Spider-Man. Also, a 70s superhero called the Stuntmaster is in this book, right? And they take on the one-man Zodiac, who was Aquarius from the Zodiac, which is like a team of villains that the Avengers fought. But like, this guy was dying, so he sold his soul to, like, the devil to have the powers of all 12 Zodiacs, so he could, like, get revenge. But like, but the devil wants him to fight Ghost Riders, and that's why that's going on. And also, the last issue in this book is, like, Johnny Blaze is in a race, right, to earn some money, and he gets the iconic Skull motorcycle. Most of the omnibus, he has, like, a Harley Davidson, right? And then, like, he uses, like, a flame conjured motorcycle, which is, like, all red. But yeah, in this book, a demon, like, tricks Hulk into fighting Ghost Rider, right? Yeah. Also, in the book, this omnibus, it features, like, covers from, like, the 90s. I guess they reprinted a lot of these old comics, so they gave them, like, 90s covers, and they look pretty cool. Alright. I especially like this one. This one's pretty cool. I wonder who did the art for that. It says Michael Blair. Okay, so what do I think about this book, right? The book is very repetitive, and the book was very repetitive, and it was kind of weird when, like, Gary Friedrich wrote, like, the first, I think, 4 or 5 issues of the Ghost Rider series, and then he gets taken off the book, and he was writing this story about how, like, this Las Vegas, like, business tycoon was doing this shady demolition derby business, and was going to have somebody killed, right? And then at the next issue, where Doug Moench takes over, it turns out that the business tycoon is a demon called Roulette, and he was killed by some, like, casino owners, and then, like, the devil gave him superpowers so he can come back and get revenge on them, right? So it's like, obviously Gary Friedrich had, like, plans, and then, like, Doug Moench took over and just changed everything, right? So that was kind of weird. That was, like, but I guess that felt, Ghost Rider is supposed to be a supernatural horror character, so you're supposed to have him fight supernatural, like, villains, right? But yeah, that was weird. There's continuity issues. They changed, like, Rocky, which is, like, Ghost Rider's girlfriend's hair, from like kind of brown, dirty blonde to, like, like, pale blonde, right? They changed her hair. The Ghost Rider characters, like, the Ghost Rider had, like, invulnerability, and then, like, they took it away because, you know, I kind of understand why they took away his invulnerability, because, you know, it was kind of like, you know, he was fighting people, and it's like, oh, like, he has, like, invulnerability that Satan himself gave him, right? So it kind of, like, it kind of didn't make sense for him to have that invulnerability when he was fighting, like, you know, Satan's goons, right? So they had to depower him, right? But overall, I don't know, I like the book. It's just that, you know, this book took me a month to read, and that's because, like, basically, like, the book is a bit repetitive. It does, but, like, one thing I liked about the book that I didn't mention is that I like that the book does start off in New York. It does go to different places. Like, at one point, like, there's a section of the book where he's in Arizona. There's a section of the book where he's in San Francisco, where he's in Vegas. Like, he gets around, which is really cool, because, like, a lot of, like, Marvel superheroes, especially back in, like, the 70s, 80s, right? Most of the Marvel superheroes took place in New York, and only in New York, right? Maybe once in a while they would go somewhere, but I like that this book, you know, it goes places. It's not just a ghostwriter stuck in New York, right? So I thought that was cool. And then also he's a superhero that he doesn't really see himself as a superhero, and, like, you know, he has no problem killing people if they're in his way, which is kind of cool. And his way of killing people is kind of fucked up, because, like, you know, he burns them. He has fire power, so he just burns people alive. So that was messed up, but yeah, I don't know. I like the book, but, you know, as compared to, like, other, if I were to compare this to other, like, you know, 70s, like, epic collection, 70 Marvel comic epic collections that I've read, this is probably just like a 6.5 out of 10 at best. But, you know, I would say if you're interested in the Ghost Rider character, check it out. But this omnibus is pricey. I think it's like $50 Canadian. So what is it in American? It's like, American's like 40 US. So I don't know. If you could get this for cheap, check it out. But if not, I don't know. I think maybe check out older issues to see if you would be interested in this. But yeah. Also, I forget, he doesn't have his pendant stare, by the way. You know, which is considered. It's funny how, like, a lot of Ghost Rider's, like, iconic powers and stuff isn't even in this book, right? Yeah, that shit, like, they added later. But yeah, that's it for this review, guys.